to fight for it, but a good win from Michael Carrick in Manchester United. How has he turned things around so quickly?
I mean, bringing maybe happiness back to the training ground. I mean, I was a big Ruben fan, so I'm not going to sit here and say, when he got the job, I know all Manchester United fans, like 90% of us, were optimistic. We were like, this is the man. Regardless of tactics, playing a back three and all that, whatever Carrick has done, to me, in the space of 3 days when he got in there, Tom, right, I think the players have to look at themselves as well, because I've said this so many times. I played for so many managers. I didn't like the tactics. I didn't like the style of play, but you have to do your job. I'm talking the basics, like run, put yourself about for the fans. What Michael Carrick has done in the space of 3 games, Ruben Amorim, it took him 1 year to win 3 games in a row. That bloke's nearly about to get his hair cut. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you, what's he going to do?
Imagine we'll get to 4 games in it. But all jokes aside, I know a lot of the ex-Man United players are always outspoken about this, right? About who should take over. I'm a big, keep him in. Genuinely. I don't think it feels the same as when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took over. Remember on the last time I was on with you a couple of weeks ago and I was saying, we'll get Ancelotti, he's just signed a new deal anyway. Let's get Emery, let's get all these managers. And I'm like, I need to work with myself because maybe this is where we're at. If this works for what we have at this moment in time and he's getting the best out of the players individually, I don't want to take that risk of getting in a Tuchel in at the end of the season that everyone's talking about and then we go back to square one. Who's to say that Thomas Tuchel comes in or Pochettino comes in or Emery comes in or Glasner comes in and it's going to be good.
You end up in Carrick again next January.
Exactly. We can't keep doing this. So I just think everyone Roy Keane all that saying, he can't keep the job. To me, if he continues in this way, someone made a good point to me the other day, Ruben hasn't even done a statement about anything since he's left, thanking the fans. Now, I know it's all token gestures, and I hate it when players go on socials after a game. We're unlucky today, boys. No, you lost the game. I don't want to see a picture of you with your head in your hands. Do you know what I mean? But what he's done so far, Michael Carrick, he's brought the love back. Steve Holland as well. Johnny Evans, Jonathan Woodgate. Whatever they're doing, Tom, it's working. And at the weekend against Fulham, that was a massive test because everyone's always saying, we beat the good teams and against the poor teams, we slip up. Almost slipped up, didn't we? But what I'm seeing so far, Cunha is not happy being on the bench, but look at him. He's loving football. Sesko's coming off the bench, making an impact. So whatever Michael Carrick has done and those people have done at the club, at this moment in time, they brought the love back. So people might think I'm crazy sitting here saying keep him in the job. I feel that way, Tom. I feel that way because, like I said, at least he's proven that he's brought the love back to Manchester United. And if we make the top 4...
Well, let's see what fans think, actually. I mean, by the way, get your voice notes in on this, by the way, and your messages on the future of Michael Carrick. Let's speak to James MacDonald now. James, I'm going to ask you the same question every week. Should Michael Carrick get the job on a permanent basis?
He's making an absolutely amazing claim to get it, isn't he? I mean, them results he's picked up so far, we've looked like a different team. And as long as he carries on like this, why wouldn't you give him the job?
Well, I'm going to ask you about this. We've got quite an interesting graphic here on the Finalysis app. You can rate player performances, as you well know. OK, now have a look at this. Look at the upturn in the last 3 games since Carrick has been in charge. So against Burnley, 55, then 46 against Brighton, then 84, 77, 86. That's fans rating his performance. Look how much he's changed since Carrick's come in.
Yeah, it's not just him, it's the whole team. We've all elevated. Everyone's looking better, everyone's looking refreshed, everyone's looking like they're enjoying football. And I'm not going to lie, the fans are too. It's reflecting in the Finalysis. I mean, I was speaking to another Finalysis the other day and he was rating players zeros in the Brighton game. So, yeah, long may it continue. Let's get them numbers up.
Zero's a bit harsh. Would you keep Casemiro now?
It's a difficult one because you've got to take into account his age, but look at his intelligence on the ball, on the pitch. He just spots things that other players don't. Look at that no-look Zoolander face there as he's passing the blue steel. But yeah, that kind of intelligence is rare to find in football. And if he is going, there's going to be some big shoes that need filling.
But talking of those numbers, Tom, on the Finalysis app, biggest common denominator here, Kobbie Mainoo's come back into the team as well. And you can't underestimate how hard it is when you're not playing, right, to come back in and to be able to play 90 minutes games against those Man City and Arsenal and to perform to those levels. It's no coincidence to me that Man United look more balanced now, don't we, James?
Absolutely, and I think as well, not to take the shine off what Mainoo's been doing, but I think Casemiro's got to take a lot of credit for it because them two are working really well to each other, and having that experience next to a young guy like Mainoo's only going to get the most out of him, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and So Maino's back in the side. Marcus Rashford's still out in Barcelona. He wants that deal to be made permanent. Would you want him back?
Listen, it would be an absolute fairy tale for him to come back to United, come pick up some trophies, but it's just not realistic. I think unfortunately his story's kind of done at United. Unfortunately, I mean, came back, I'm sure the fans would support him and get behind him a bit, but I just feel like it's time to move on in terms of Rashford and just look at the future and the new era of United.
What do you think, Leanne, on Rashford?
I agree with that. I mean, yeah, I think the Man United fans have been very patient with Marcus Rashford over the years. You know, I think they do back him because he's one of our own. But I think, I think that ship has sailed. I think that you know, wish him all the best of luck at Barca. But if he came back, James, I feel like it would not be a backward. But this is a guy that probably might go to the World Cup and play for England. So on one hand, it's like, what?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I think as well, if he came back, I don't think he's one of them rare United players who's left in recent years who no one's really got any ill will towards him. It's not like a Garnacho coming back or a Sancho stuff. People United fans that I speak to want the best for Rashford, and if the best for him is at Barcelona, then more power to him. But I just don't see a future where he plays for United. But again, what a fairy tale it would be if he came back and we started winning trophies.
Looking ahead, along with Chelsea, Manchester United, the only team to have won their last 3 league games. There's 8 points separating Manchester City in second and Liverpool in 6th. So where will you finish? And are you now expecting?
You're saying we're going to win the league?
Yeah.
Are you saying you're going to win the league?
No, I think obviously all season I've been saying 5th is where we're going to get, but I think the way the season's panned out, no team has showed that consistency apart from Arsenal. So a few little results go our way. Our next 5 games are quite kind to United. Who's to say if we put a run together, that lad gets a mohawk, we climb up the table. Who's to say we can't get second?
Yeah, we just had a message there saying Manchester United will finish second. Mark my words. OK, James, thank you.
Start with Cristiano Ronaldo, whose future in Saudi Arabia is in doubt. After going on strike, would you believe? It's quite the story, isn't it? Our chief correspondent, Carver Solakul, has joined me now to discuss it in depth. It's quite extraordinary, given what he gets paid per day, that he is going on strike. What are the reasons behind this strike?
I mean, first of all, his pay packet is supposed to be £500,000 a day, but he's unhappy, and the reason he's unhappy is that he plays for a club called Al Nassr. Now, they're one of the 4 clubs who are majority owned by the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund, and he feels that the other 3 clubs are getting preferential treatment. They are being backed more in the transfer market.
Okay.
So he missed Al Nassr's game against Al Riyadh yesterday, even though there was nothing wrong with him. He's not injured. He didn't play. He wasn't in the squad. Al Nassr won 1-0. But he's on strike because he's so unhappy. And what senior Saudi officials are saying to him today is, Cristiano, please end your strike and start playing again. Specifically, Al Nassr have got a big game against Al Ittihad on Friday. We want you to play in that game. They are, of course, surprised that he is unhappy, not just because of his pay packet, because of the fact that, you know, he seemed to have been totally happy and he's very involved in the way Al Nassr are run. Some of the key people at Al Nassr are people who've been placed there because they're close to Ronaldo.
Okay.
But what it all means is that he is considering his future in Saudi Arabia. Interestingly, he's got 18 months left on his contract, but it does, I think, have a release clause of 50 million euros, which can be activated this summer. Now, I know you're rolling your eyes there.
I'm just wondering who might pay that.
Well, who might pay that, especially because he's 40 and he's going to be 41 on Thursday. In 2 days' time, it's his birthday, 41 years old.
Happy birthday, Ronaldo.
Yeah, happy birthday if he's watching. I think he'd probably be too busy to be watching us. But no, seriously, he does have this release clause. And I know people are thinking, who would pay that kind of money for a 41-year-old?
Yes.
But we are talking about Ronaldo. He's
Yes.
not just a footballer. He's one of the most famous people in the world.
Yes.
You don't just get what he does on the pitch. It's everything that comes off the pitch, all the commercial opportunities as well.
But there is a lot that comes with it as well, like this situation perhaps. Now, 2 questions in one. Does he have a point in all this, in so much as has he got a case for them to answer? Is he right in what he's saying? You know, should he be on strike? Is Al Nassr being treated differently? And has Karim Benzema got anything to do with this?
Yeah, Karim Benzema is interesting because that seems to be what has tipped Ronaldo over the edge, because Al Nassr's great rivals Al Hilal yesterday announced a deal to sign Karim Benzema from Al Ittihad.
Right.
And I think Cristiano Ronaldo is looking at the Saudi Pro League table and thinking, we are 1 point behind Al Hilal. We are trying to win the league title for the first time in my time in Saudi Arabia. And during the January transfer window, we signed one player, a young Iraqi midfielder called Haider Abdul Karim, whereas the team who are 1 point ahead of us signed one of the best strikers in the world, the legendary Karim Benzema. Now, I think what Saudi officials would say is, Cristiano, PIF, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, did not pay for Karim Benzema. That transfer was paid for by private investor at Al Hilal, one of the richest men in the world, Prince Al Walid bin Talal, and they would say there's nothing stopping private investors also helping Al Nassr buy players.
Okay, so here we are. He's gone on strike. He's missed a game. What happens next? I mean, can they do anything about this?
Well, look, I think the Saudi officials are saying to him, Cristiano, please, you've got to start playing again. This is not good for anybody. It's not good for you. It's not good for Saudi Arabia. It's not good for our league. We want you to play again on Friday against Al Ittihad. You have to end this strike now. But the interesting thing is, does Cristiano Ronaldo actually have a point? I think if you look at the amount of transfer business that the four clubs who are majority owned by the Sovereign Wealth Fund have done, you would see actually that Al Nassr have spent a lot of money. And not just on Cristiano Ronaldo's wages.
Have they got anything left?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. But I think we can look at how much money they've all spent and the players they've spent money on. For instance, look, that is Al Nassr. They have signed Cristiano Ronaldo, Sadio Mane, Aymeric Laporte, John Duran, who's now left, Al Hilal, who are like the Real Madrid of Saudi football, Karim Benzema, Neymar, he's gone, Ruben Neves, Theo Hernandez, João Cancelo, and the other two clubs who are backed by the Sovereign Wealth Fund, Al Ahly in Jeddah. They've got Riyad Mahrez, Firmino, Ivan Toney, and of course Al Ittihad. They had Karim Benzema until yesterday, and Golo Kante, Fabinho, Moussa Diaby, Steven Bergwijn. So I think somebody needs to show this to Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah,
they need to show that to Cristiano Ronaldo. I think that is what Saudi officials will be telling him. They will be saying, Cristiano, please get real. You are upset, but you really need to get your head right and get back to playing on Friday.
I mean, just final question. What will happen here, do you think? Will Cristiano Ronaldo get his way? Is the window where we at?
Well, look, Cristiano Ronaldo is really close to the manager at Al Nassr.
Okay.
From Portugal, great manager, Jorge Jesus. He's got some key people there who are very close to him. So the club has almost been set up to run around him. And it's obvious that the people around him and he himself are unhappy about the January transfer business. I think now the window is closed. What opportunities does he really have? What can he do? Is this strike going to go on indefinitely? I get the feeling that he was just trying to make a point. And the Saudis will now say to him, look, you've made your point, get your boots back on, start earning your £500,000 a day.
Yes, you should be in charge, Carvey. They'd listen to you, wouldn't they?
The world's highest paid sports star, Cristiano Ronaldo, appears to have gone on strike. The five-time Ballon d'Or winner, who reportedly earns £500,000 a day, did not feature in Al Nassr's victory against Al Riyadh last night. The Portugal captain is said to be unhappy with how the Saudi club is being run. What was your reaction to that, Leanne?
Your wages, isn't it? £500,000 a day. Imagine being on £500,000 a day. I mean, and he deserves it more. You know what I think of him, Tom.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
He can do no wrong in my eyes. But I'm quite shocked he's gone on strike because, I mean, I know it's mostly based upon
he loves playing, doesn't he?
He does.
He's missed a game.
I know. And, like, I think it's based upon lack of transfers. Since he's got there, you know, they finished third, then they finished second. Now they're in second again. And I think, you know, we've seen Karim Benzema as well talk about it. So, who's at a different club. So, it's an interesting one. I think there'll be more that comes out about this because they've got another game at the weekend and I don't feel like there's enough noise around it, is there? Because he's gone on strike and no one's really talking about it. I know we are, but it's like we need to know more information about what is actually going on.
So he thinks because the club's owners own quite a few clubs and he thinks they're prioritising
Yeah.
spending at other clubs.
But it is
that
a
they own
conflict, isn't it, of interest,
rather
really?
than
like,
yeah, I know.
it is. Come on, like, but it is Saudi, and like I said, any players that go there, I don't hold it against them, because if they said to me to go there, I'll be there in a heartbeat.
Does it damage the Saudi Pro League though when you've got these top stars who are unhappy?
Yeah,
I mean they're getting paid, yes, but they're unhappy.
It won't go on for long though, Tom. I can't imagine it would go on, because we know Cristiano Ronaldo is probably one of the most powerful people in football, but then also the Saudis don't hang around. So I can't imagine this will go on for long periods of time. It's either one of them's got to give, something's got to give somewhere, isn't it? Because he can't go on strike, because then he won't get paid. There must be some type of contractual agreement where, you know, if you're not playing, you're not abiding by your contract.
Yeah.
So therefore, you know, I can't imagine, I reckon, I could be wrong, that he'll play at the weekend.
Okay.
Like, that has to happen. He can't go on strike for long.
Mikel Arteta's work at Arsenal is being viewed in an even brighter light after the recent coaching shakeups elsewhere. With Chelsea parting ways with Enzo Maresca and Manchester United moving on from Ruben Amorim, the contrast is hard to miss. Arsenal has kept moving forward under Arteta, giving him time through difficult stretches, and now seeing the payoff as the club pushes again in the Premier League title race. It also raises a bigger question about strategy. While Chelsea and United are changing direction again, Arteta has been in place for more than 6 years, outlasting a long list of managers across those two clubs in that span. That stability has become part of the story, and it was a major talking point on the Seeing Red podcast with Tom Canton and John Cross. Beyond reacting to Amorim's dismissal and breaking down wins over Aston Villa and Bournemouth, plus Manchester City's loss to Chelsea, the conversation kept returning to one core idea: structure. Not just who is the coach, but how much power that coach has, and whether the club is built to support a long-term project. Cross pointed to Arsenal as a rare example of patience turning into real strength. He argued that Arsenal's willingness to back Arteta through the messy early phases helped create the stable position they're in now, and that this kind of time and support investment is what can turn a club into something truly solid. Canton's response was sharp and honest. Arteta's arc, he said, has almost become a problem for other clubs, because it tempts them to keep coaches they probably shouldn't. But at the same time, it's still the best example of what can happen when you hire the right person and actually give them time. And that time wasn't smooth. The discussion highlighted how Arsenal could easily have pulled the plug early. 2 eighth-place finishes, then 5th, missing out on the Champions League, and a Europa League semi-final exit to Unai Emery's Villarreal. Any of those moments could have pushed a club into panic mode. Instead, the argument is that Arsenal recognized the bigger reality. Arteta didn't have the resources to compete at the required level right away. The squad needed a rebuild. The roster needed to be refreshed. That's where the comparison to Chelsea and United becomes even more pointed. The podcast suggested that recruitment and decision-making structure are often what determine whether a coach survives. If signings don't land, results suffer. And if a coach doesn't have enough influence, or the club isn't aligned behind a clear plan, it becomes much easier for things to collapse. In other words, giving time only works if the coach is empowered to shape the team in a way that matches the vision. Cross also emphasized that Arteta's situation stood out because he pushed to be a true manager, not just a head coach. The idea is simple. Top coaches want a real say in the build, and they want the club to match what they were promised when they took the job. The discussion even pointed to how Arteta survived a low moment, like the home loss to Burnley, because the club stayed behind him. And in that period, with fan pressure affected by the COVID-era environment, Arsenal were able to hold their nerve instead of reacting emotionally. Meanwhile, the big unknowns now shift back to Chelsea and Manchester United. Who replaces Amorim? And how will the next chapter look at Chelsea? The answers may come sooner than people expect. But for Arsenal, the reality stays the same. They're stable, they're moving forward, and they're still in the title chase, while others are starting over again. And that contrast can shape how people judge every manager in the league. Because when two massive clubs hit the reset button again, it forces the same question Cross raised on the show. Is the quick switch actually fixing the problem, or just delaying the real work? The bigger takeaway from the discussion is that time isn't a magic solution by itself. It only becomes valuable when the club's structure supports the plan, and when the coach has the influence to push the squad in the direction he believes it needs to go. That's why the distinction between head coach and manager kept coming up. The podcast point is that if a coach is expected to own the results, he usually wants a meaningful say in the decisions that shape those results. And if he doesn't get that, patience alone won't save him. That's also where Arteta's early struggles get reframed. Those finishes and setbacks could have become a reason to panic. Instead, they became evidence of why alignment matters, because Arsenal chose to treat them as part of a build, not a final verdict. And once the squad was reshaped the way the club believed it needed to be, the results started to reflect that long-term approach. So the repercussions aren't just about Arsenal looking stable, it's about how stability changes your margin for error. When you don't reset every year, you're not constantly starting from zero. You're building on decisions, learning from setbacks, and keeping a clearer identity. For Chelsea and Manchester United, the immediate consequence is obvious. They're changing direction again, which means the next appointment carries even more weight. Because every new coach isn't just judged on results. He's judged on whether the club is finally giving him the structure and authority that the role demands. That's why the question at the end matters so much. Who will replace Amorim, and how will Liam Rosenior do at Chelsea? Because those answers will test the exact theme the show kept returning to. Time, support, structure, and control. And for Arsenal, it's a different kind of pressure. Stability doesn't guarantee trophies, but it does keep you in the fight longer. And right now, while others restart, Arsenal get to stay focused on what they're already doing, chasing the Premier League title.